Sit. Down. Cheers. Dump. It's $3 a bag. So the goal is actually now that so this shed, I have big plans for it. Gonna eventually be putting like some sort of home gym in here. Kind of like a man cave setup. Needs to be insulated. So that is going to be step one before I start doing everything else. But it actually needs to be framed too. Tall. But I'm going to frame pretty much just halfway up. Not going to frame the top. Hi. Ever since she was little, I gave her a treat for going potty outside, so now she still thinks she gets treats every time she goes potty. Biggest learning curve about living out here, where your nearest neighbor is, I mean, they're not that far, but they're pretty far, and you don't have many of them. Every time you need to go into town to get something, you got to plan, you know, am I making the most out of my trip when I go into town, because you don't want to be going back and forth because you know, it's 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, just to the nearest like hardware store or grocery store. So you need to be on point. You need to constantly be thinking, okay, if I go into town to get screws or plywood or whatever, do I also need, you know, milk and eggs? Do I also need little things, you know, whatever it could be, dog food. So it's really important that you kind of plan those things out. I think that's probably the biggest learning curve. I don't know. I'm just gonna be kind of like documenting living out here in the countryside, and you know, the challenges that come along with it, and the good things that I like about it, and things that maybe I don't like about it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, overall I love it. There's really not much I don't like about it, but there's definitely some learning curves that I've ran into. For example, I drove all the way to the dump, which is about 45 minutes away, packed up my entire truck with tons of garbage bags, and I got to the dump, and you know, this like 80-year-old like Vietnam veteran, you know, he's like, how many bags do you have? I'm like, hey man, I just moved here. I've got like 3 trash bags and a bunch of cardboard. And he's like, all right, $9. I hand him my credit card, and he's like, we don't take credit card. I don't even have a credit card processor. And I'm like, shit. Didn't have any cash on me, so had to drive all the way back home, get cash, and by that point I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm not gonna go back, just to drop off a couple bags of trash. I'd rather go back home, reset, get everything organized, and then now it's the following day, so I'm gonna go back and give them cash and get rid of some of this trash. So things like that, once you start to get into a flow, it gets a little bit easier, but that's kind of the main thing right now. Up.
All right, let's see. The live chat is seriously retarded.
Holly and I just got back from the dump, and remembered my cash this time. Met a really nice old lady at the coffee shop. She told me that apparently they do waste removal here, so they'll show up to your house and take away all your trash for you, which is pretty cool. But honestly, I don't mind going to the dump. There's something actually kind of peaceful about it. I don't know. It's weird to even say, but it's like the older I get, the more joy I find in those types of things. I remember when I was a kid, my grandma was from Cape Cod, and she'd stack up all this trash, and every Saturday morning really early my dad and I would get up and we'd go to the dump together, and usually we'd grab breakfast and donuts, and it's just kind of one of those funny little memories you have when you're a kid that kind of brings back that nostalgia almost. This is basically me just rambling, but Holly, come here. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably going to be people out there that, think this is kind of weird. I've never done like vlog type stuff. It's kind of new for me, but I just like to stay busy. Feels kind of weird talking to myself, but I feel like an idle mind where you're just doing nothing, I don't know, that always gives me anxiety for some reason. Like, I love projects, I love doing things with my hands, and even just working around the house and just tinkering with stuff it just brings me so much peace. It's like sewing. My mom taught me how to sew, and I love it. I bought a sewing machine, and I've been sewing like crazy. Just a madman, sewing everything. It's a good skill to have, and it's peaceful. It's like meditation almost. Doing things with your hands is, I'm not like a carpenter or craftsman or anything, but by any stretch of the means, but it's fun to learn. I think that's like the biggest thing about it that I love. Looking up like YouTube videos, trying to figure out like, I want to build a birdhouse. How do I do that? Then going out, getting the supplies, and coming home, laying everything out and putting it together, and just using a drill and hammer, whatever. Like I love that stuff. And I've lived in the city since 2016. Lived in downtown Boston, and then I lived in Denver, and then I lived in Golden, and now I live here in beautiful Westcliff, Colorado. And it's amazing. I never really thought I would have this opportunity, but I saw this house come for sale, and I jumped on it. So I'm going to be putting out a lot of these kind of weird, I guess, I don't know, vlog type videos, and I'm sure I'll get roasted by a bunch of my friends, and that's alright. I'm sure they'll call me gay and retarded for doing it, but whatever. I just like to stay busy, and I'm going to do some more, I guess, deep talk kind of stuff. We're, talking about like life and my journey and everything. So I've got a pretty unique story to tell, and yeah, I think people might be interested in it. Maybe, maybe not, but yeah, that's it. My first vlog. So, thanks for watching. God bless.